not. Yeah. Okay.
All righty. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Black Robe podcast. I can't believe it's been a week. Oh, my goodness.
Time flies when you get old.
Time definitely flies. So, but we are so happy to be back here with you guys again. Of course, my name's Anzhane Slaughter. And this here is the beautiful Carol Mitchell.
Hello.
A few housekeeping things just to kind of get the ball rolling. The IBJ, we have been doing some wonderful work this past, the past couple of months, but especially this past week. Tell us about it, Carol.
Well, I'm excited because just before we came on tonight, I got a phone call from beautiful Mona Baghdadi, who is my partner in crime, literally in crime prevention. Let's put it that
I love it. PICI.
My partner, and we were working together with a family of a young man who we thought was going to be facing a long period of time of incarceration in the Department of Corrections. And we learned tonight that he was released on electronic home monitoring, partly because of the advocacy of his mother, of Mona, of myself, and the collaboration that happened between the Pierce County Prosecuting Attorney's Office and the Department of Assigned Counsel. I actually spoke to both sides and had comments about how important it was for this young man, this father, to have an opportunity to get himself into treatment and restore his life, get back on track, and
seriously,
get back to his purpose.
Right? That's a narrative that's told way too often, right? We see so many of our Black kings incarcerated, right? Not even given the opportunity to see a therapeutic court or a drug court, mental health court, even though they're very much so available and probably the root issues to really why they're, facing time or, criminality. So congrats,
I'm so happy for him.
Yes.
Obviously, for privacy reasons, we are not going to be calling out his name because if it was your child,
right? You don't want all their business on Front Street either.
We would not hang our laundry out on the front porch, but we're excited for him, excited for the possibilities for him to turn his life around, and just excited because we got to play a very small role in making a difference in giving him that second chance to get things back on track.
Beautiful.
And also excited about money.
Yeah, well, money excites me too. Okay. Let's talk about it.
You and I, people may not know behind the scenes, we are always working on raising money to expand our vision, to get the message out, to do more advocacy work, to help more people.
You guys don't know. We've been meeting with countless funders, organizations.
That's a job all in itself.
It is a job. There's usually a fundraiser.
But we're going to do a holiday fundraiser. You're going to tell them about a little bit about it later, but we just want to express our gratitude to Group Health Foundation. They gave us a very generous, just sort of getting to know us contribution of $2,500, and we're excited about that.
Absolutely, because that's just the start.
Give you money just because you took time to meet them. How powerful is that?
That was a great hour and a half, right?
We did our homework. We had our PowerPoint presentation and the whole thing all ready to go. And we should thank Seth Kirby, the Greater Tacoma Community Foundation, for getting us
connecting us. Exactly. Thank you, Seth.
And did you see GTCF had us on their calendar?
Oh, I didn't, but I did
like that.
They did shout out our podcast. I saw that.
Yeah, it's on their calendar. And I got a
I love
phone
it.
call today from Baltimore, a woman who found us
Oh, wow.
through the GTCF calendar. So
Wow.
it's working.
It
So thank you
is.
for that. And I have one more money shout out.
Shout out. Take
And that is, we have created what's called the Indigo Circle. And the Indigo Circle is a group of people who basically wrap their arms around the IBJ. They make a contribution of at least $1,000. We're looking for 25 members of the Indigo Circle. And the whole idea is that that circle of friends and supporters are people who really help to sustain us so that we can really
do the work.
boldly go where Anjanae wants us to go.
You know me and my direct initiatives.
Where I have probably never been before, and she wants to go, and I'm following her because I like where she goes. But we have some big plans. We have a big Freedom Summer Symposium that's coming up next summer.
Yes,
work we want to do on Black leadership with 18 to 35-year-olds. Looking forward to conversations with some of our academic partners about a role that they might play in that effort.
Absolutely.
We want to do more family advocacy.
Yes.
We want to dive into that education issue, right? The problems that families are having, getting their children educated in the wake of COVID-19.
Right. And we're following in the leadership of, right, Dr. Wanda Ellis that we mentioned last week.
Right.
We're addressing the roots. We're going in deep with the 2 aces, right? Because that's where we see effective change.
And the ace of hearts. We're going in with the 2 aces.
You saying spades now. You got me want to get my playing cards out. Okay.
So we want to thank the Indigo Circle, our first $1,000 donor, Sally Perkins of Practical Solutions. Thank you so very much for your generosity. Yeah. She's also part of our Brain Trust, which we've got 4 or 5 people who just keep us focused, keep us on point, hold us accountable, make sure we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing.
And in this work, oh, absolutely. We're tenfold grateful for all of the supporters that we need, especially in the line of work when it comes to social justice and equity, especially when we're coming out and we're boldly saying that we're here for Black people as our priority. As we know, we haven't always been welcomed with warm arms. And so to have individuals that are committed to our vision and our mission and really seeing equity and change, we thank you so much, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you. So,
and if you want to be part of that, you know, if you want to be part of the Indigo Circle, that group of 25 who makes that $1,000 contribution, you can get in touch with us at 253-271-6859. That's our office number, or send us an email at instituteforblackjustice@gmail.com, and we will. At Gmail, Institute for Black Justice at Gmail. And we will get back to you and tell you exactly what you need to do.
Yep.
And it will be tax deductible, by the way. It'll be tax deductible.
Q4.
Yeah.
But you can find all that information on our website. That's the instituteforblackjustice.org. So please visit us. We'd love to hear from you. Let's dive into our topic.
You know what I want to talk about.
I know. So yesterday, Pierce County Council met, right? They met with their community review. No,
we're not ones to
we're not gossiping. We're coming with you guys with straight facts, okay? And this is information that I really do hope that my generation, the 18 to 35-year-olds, you know, are really listening, because we need to make some changes. Alrighty, but let's get down to the basics, the facts. Pierce County Council met yesterday with their community review board. Now, this community
public review committee.
Public review committee. They were pieced together by the Pierce County Council members themselves, right? Which, just to give you a visual, are all white people. There's not one person of color that sits on that board. They handpicked some community members from each district.
There were some Black folks on the committee.
There were, I believe, about 3 out of 14 were Black, which one could say, you know, we're in Washington, you know, you're only going to find, it's like, no.
We had a little representation,
But we did.
But what I have some concerns about, and there's no way to really know, um, is whether or not anybody on that committee had any prior experience with the criminal justice system, any lived experience.
Well, I do know Preston Anderson. He is on the committee, and Preston Anderson is great. He's really here for our community. I actually sit, alongside him as a member of the Black Democrats of Pierce County, and so I know that Preston, good people,
Julie Wilton, Shalisa Hayes, they're all good people. Tim Raynon from Puyallup Tribe of Indians. I think they had a good cross section of folks. What I always object to is policy making that excludes the very people who are the most harmed by that policy.
Exactly. And so the review, the public committee, whatever the term is that we want to name them, the PRC, they did highlight that African Americans are, disproportionately arrested in Pierce County. The whole, just to kind of give you guys a little backstory for those that aren't, up to date on why this committee is even meeting, this was kind of Bruce Danmeyer's answer to Manny Ellis, right? We need to create some sort of community group that is going to give us some recommendations for how we can better serve the community, right? And so after they highlighted that, African Americans are disproportionately impacted and that 90% of the people that are arrested are impoverished, those are the two biggest data points. To me, just right then, I'm thinking, well, why isn't this community group full of Black and poor people? That was my first thing. If we know that Black African Americans,
now you want to start trouble.
Well, good trouble. Good trouble. I mean, again, let's just remind our viewers, this is a Black space. We are the Black Robe podcast. And again, we're putting on our figurative Black robes and using our Black lenses to just call out what's just and what's not just. Now, we know in a lot of these circles and in a lot of these conversations, they're not able to speak as freely as we are here. So we have to. Yeah, we gotta start some good trouble and just call it out from a Black perspective.
I mean, I think our point is that there was nothing really new in some of the observations that African Americans are arrested disproportionately.
Right, we knew that.
We all knew that. That criminal defendants, 90% need a public defense lawyer, right? They're eligible economically.
Right. Tell us something money. We don't know.
That's not new information. Even that the mental health system is broken.
Exactly. Not at all. Because as we continue to mention, Carol and I both testified in favor of the 1/10 behavioral health tax. That did not
that did not make me popular either. Let me tell you, with that 7th floor, when I stood up and said, "Hey, y'all need to pass this behavioral health tax," I got in trouble for that. By the way,
you did.
Yeah, I got fussed at.
But you know what? It's the truth. We needed it then and we need it still now. This review, all their observations, they come out and they're telling us information that we already know. The mental health system is broken. It's trashed, right? We know, I mean, the report highlights that we have therapeutic courts, okay? But
we do. And the drug court in particular has been around 25 years plus, and the outcomes are phenomenal.
Yes.
The mental health court, which Judge Cuthbertson himself presided over, they have great outcomes. The part of the issue is some of the eligibility requirements for getting into those courts leave a lot of Black and brown people out.
Yep.
The case that we were talking about earlier, if you have certain convictions on your record, you may not be eligible to get into drug court or into mental health court. You're automatically declined from those therapeutic programs. And unfortunately, I think a lot of Black and brown people end up declined who really need to get into those programs. So there's still work to do, but I agree, those therapeutic courts work well.
And we need them. We need more restorative justice practices than punitive, right? Locking someone up for 15 or 20 to life is not giving them a fighting chance to help their community, to even have any sort of rehabilitation, which is the whole reason behind our criminal justice system, right? It's supposed to rehabilitate people and re-enter them back into society. Well, we know that doesn't happen when you're just put in cuffs and locked up, right? The rehabilitation really happens in these in the drug courts, in the community courts, you know.
Mhm.
But when African Americans in Pierce County are disproportionately arrested, and then we're disproportionately not in those courts,
That's right.
we're
You know where we are. We're in the
you know where
Department
we
of
are, and
Corrections. And the sad part about it, which is part of the reason why we were involved in some of the advocacy work that we spoke at the beginning of the show, is because these 18 roughly to 40-year-olds, there's a large proportion of the population that's in that age group.
Mhm.
Those are our young men. They
young
also
kings, okay,
and their fathers,
and
right? They're in their baby making years, right?
Mhm.
And many of them,
Tell me about
I think there's some stats. Yeah.
Carol,
Okay,
tell me
maybe
about
it's
it.
okay if they're not making too many babies, but there's data about the number of children that I think the average is 2.1 or 2.3 children per person behind bars. So that means that if you got 100 young men incarcerated, then you got 220 young children who don't have their father around. And oftentimes those fathers are the breadwinners and they've lost their jobs, which means the whole family system is in a precarious position. So
Yeah, the
we
family
need to
structure.
find ways to get people adjudicated into treatment if that's what they needed and back to their families and their jobs as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to apply an equity lens to the therapeutic courts. Okay, we just gonna throw that out there to the drug
what do you think
courts.
about some of these other observations, like the fact that the county council needs some EDI training?
Okay, I actually, so I watched the recording. By the way, you guys can all go to the Pierce County website and watch this recording. It took place yesterday, November 18th. It's about an hour and a half. So if you have the time,
coffee.
Yeah, listen to it, because these are your leaders in your community that make decisions, right? And this is supposed to be the platform where they hear from us. So when I heard that, yeah, Pierce County Council needs some DEI training, some diversity, equity, and inclusion training, my first thought was, and like again, this isn't like profound. I doubt anybody had an enlightening moment where they're like, ding.
There were a couple members of the public review committee who I just followed. Read through. There's like 400 pages to this report.
Yeah.
And one in particular, Tim Raynon, thank you so much for your comments that you were making. I read a few of Jim Walton's comments through there too, but particularly Tim, he was on point because he was just going through saying, I'm noticing that, people are making a lot of excuses about why they haven't been able to achieve more equitable outcomes. And, we're not going to take staffing as an excuse. Or the lack of data as an excuse, because this is not new information. These problems have existed for a very long time.
Yeah.
But the county council is not terribly diverse. I mean, this year, do you see any racial ethnic diversity?
No.
Well, maybe there's ethnic diversity.
And maybe there's gender diversity. Yes. But again, these are all, white people that probably, and I can't speak on their lived experience, but I'd be surprised if they
probably haven't
faced
had much
any
interaction with the criminal justice system.
Well, we know they're not the disproportionately targeted group.
Which means, I think, it's not to say that they can't lead in those positions, but what they have to do is create space to hear the voices of people who are not represented on the council. And maybe that was the point of the PRC, that the council itself really needs to do its homework and understand systemic racism, the history of racism in Tacoma and Pierce County. Tacoma's done a lot of good video documentary work around civil rights and racism, redlining in Tacoma. Pierce County's got to do that work too.
Absolutely. Yeah, the county council, um my thing though, we again, none of this is profound. Everybody knew that the mental health system is broken. When the community was talking, saying we need this behavioral health tax.
So
King County has passed the behavioral health tax. Almost, I mean, Pierce County is one of the top largest counties in Washington State. Why are we so far behind? And now again, we see the numbers, we see the people, we see that our mental health system is broken. We have retired judges mediating and facilitating these conversations to get the message across. I'd be interested to see if we get a behavioral health passed in 2021.
well, Lord,
Let's just keep our eyes out for it.
I really doubt that we'll get one passed in 2020, maybe in 2021, because you're going to have a Democratic majority on the Pierce County Council. At least I think so.
I hope.
But back last spring, when the behavioral health tax came in front of the county council, what did they do? They had an opportunity to pass it. There was a clear need. Here we have another report saying how broken it is. There had been a report 3 years earlier that had already pointed to the need for a completely different system and structure and way of operating. But once again, they punted. Why? They wanted a plan. You're asking us for money and we don't have a plan. So why don't you take the whole summer and go off and put together a plan? Well, now we have a behavioral health strategic plan that has been proposed to the council. Now we need them to do their job and get the behavioral health tax passed and fund those changes that that committee, the Behavioral Health Planning Committee, and the Public Review Committee they've sort of co-signed that you need to do something about behavioral health and treatment.
Exactly. If we don't see the changes that, we need desperately here as a community in Pierce County, then that's why these are elected positions, guys.
Hello.
Seriously, we have to get involved, especially if you're Black and brown. They're impacting us the most. So if we want to see some change, we really do have to get out there, get involved, get engaged, and stand for that change.
And you can see from what happened in the presidential elections, every single solitary vote counts. So if you've got family members who are sitting in the Pierce County Jail or who are under the control of the Department of Corrections, and you know that your family member has some substance use issues, maybe some mental health issues that went untreated, you should be all over the Pierce County Council telling them that you want them to do something about that here in Pierce County. That is the least that you should be doing.
Absolutely.
Is taking your 3 minutes on Zoom or on the phone, or sending a note or a letter, calling your council representative and pushing for them to do something to then more than just study it, but actually
where's the action? Where's the action at? Bro, we see the data. Now I want to see some results. I want to see some improvements. Okay. I want to compare some change. But there were a couple good things. I'm not gonna just beat down the review committee.
What did you see that was good? I mean, there were. I agree with you.
Yeah. Well,
what you saw.
One thing I saw was having this continuation of a public review committee, or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
That is extremely important because
you mean like a project peace commission or something?
Something that actually had an authoritative, something that had some authority, right? Because we know the toothless monster
you can't have any authority now.
Well, we got to give the people some sort of authority if they're going to be respected by these council members, because I honestly think they're not listening to us.
We heard yesterday, you weren't able to make it, but thank you to Pacific Lutheran University and the People's Gathering. We had a great presentation yesterday morning that talked about the difference between representation, right? Even if they got people of color represented on the council, are they really included? Do they really have any influence whatsoever on what happens? And I think it's getting to inclusion and getting the community to help you co-design the solutions to your issues, instead of elected officials stepping into a back room and thinking that they already know the answer, and then they come out with the answer and expect the community to embrace it. That's not how it works.
No, don't just give us a place to speak and then not listen to us, to
No.
our opinions and recommendations. That's honestly a waste of
Happens
our
a lot.
time. It does. And that's another change I think that we need to make. You know, if we're going to ask the community for their influence, for their review, then we need to be able to hold ourselves accountable to their recommendations.
They have the answer. I still believe this, that no matter how desperate a person is, they have a glimmer of what the answer is to their situation. Fundamentally, they know what it is that oftentimes needs to be done. And if
Oh
we would
yeah.
just listen to that input and design around it instead of having our own preconceived ideas, when most of us on that council, on that review committee, have never even been inside a jail cell, not even to visit. Maybe the judge, I'm sure Judge Cuthbertson has, as a
Mhm.
judge and as a lawyer perhaps, but most of the folks who were there have never even been in a jail.
Yeah.
And so how is it that we think we would know what
Mhm.
it is that needs to be done around policing if you have never been subjected to police abuse? You've never been through it.
Yeah.
That's like saying, "Oh, I know exactly how labor pains feel when
But
you've
you
never
never had
been
a
pregnant
baby.
and never had a baby."
Yep.
Same thing. These We need to include people who are actually being impacted by
Mhm.
the policies that are in place right now. They need to be in the room helping you co-design the answer.
I agree 100%. Another thing that I saw in the recommendations that did, apply to the sheriff's department, right, was this initiative for body
Body
cams
cams,
and dash
dash
cams.
cams.
Now, remember, I'm born and raised in King County in Seattle, right? And
We'll forgive you.
well, we didn't always.
Oh,
There's a reason why Seattle people don't come to Pierce County. Now I know what it is.
to buy houses, to buy up all our houses and run up the price.
We're running up the property taxes here. That's
Thank you very much. You have helped my equity grow. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Okay. Don't blame us, blame gentrification. Anyways, in Seattle, in King County, dash cams, body cams, that has been the thing for a while now. But the problem is what happens after you get the dash cams and the body cams? Are they accessible? The footage is accessible to the community, right?
Yeah, that's one of the
Is it
big
gonna be
expenses. That's one of the expenses, storing the footage, right?
Mhm.
And some of the victims' rights folks would say, that people could abuse having access to that footage, because sometimes victims are in that footage, and we don't want to re-victimize, re-traumatize
Yeah,
victims. So there's all these,
definitely.
considerations around the footage.
And there's even the conspiracy of tampering, which I don't even want to say is a conspiracy. If anything, we know from in-house investigations, right? If you guys have access to the evidence,
Mm.
then you're gonna have access to the truth too. Like I can't really agree with that.
Really have to find a way to sort of put a wall around, who,
Or
who has access,
Mhm.
and make sure there's a nice chain of custody around the footage. But I think what we saw over the summer
Mhm.
is body cameras captured a lot of interesting facts that you otherwise, well, well, that wasn't a body camera, but a
A
camera, at
camera.
least a
Yeah.
17-year-old's camera,
Yeah.
that can tell quite a bit to the story and help
Absolutely.
reconstruct the story.
Absolutely.
It's
So
expensive though.
it is. It is. But we're taking baby steps. I really do hope that the Pierce County Council will pass to have body cameras and dash cams required on personnel, law enforcement.
Now we have a new sheriff, literally a new
We
sheriff
do. A
in
new
town.
sheriff is in town.
And I don't know. I'm not really sure that our Pierce County Sheriff's Department will go along with it. I'm not sure
You know,
whether or not it needs to be negotiated as part of bargaining or not.
Well, maybe it needs to be a state thing. Maybe we need to call out to our legislators. Okay, I just saw that Tawana Nobles officially was elected into the Senate. Congratulations, Tawana, for flipping the 28th. We needed you up in the Senate.
Oh, she flipped.
There is districts all across the state that were flipped this past election. So, another congratulations to all of our elected officials. But issues like these might be things that we can work on a state level, because fighting it out county by county it's just difficult.
Do you know, when I was working at the county, we lost so many opportunities to get behavioral health dollars from the state because we did not have the 1/10% in the county.
They're not going to give it to you if you don't have.
Because if you're not willing to do for yourself, why are you asking the state to carry the weight of what is really a local issue that you need to at least try to solve yourself? And passing the behavioral health tax is one way to do it.
Yeah,
you got the plan now.
Right, you got the plan. We're not kicking the can anymore, Pierce County. We need
I've hurt my foot kicking that can down the road.
No, we need some answers. Okay, you called, we responded. Now it's your turn. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very happy though that the review committee did say that we need an ongoing presence of community. And again, we cannot say it often enough or more, we've said it, I've said it 2 or 3 times. You must have people who are directly impacted by these systems in the room, co-designing with their voices valued. And if you don't know how to do that, the IBJ can help you.
We gladly can help you
how to do it.
And our first point would be to pay these people. Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about equity.
Let's talk about it. We know that 90% of those who are arrested or that are facing any sort of criminal charge are facing poverty. If we know this and the county knows this, how could you expect individuals from the community that's being impacted to just give away their time? These are people that maybe work 3 jobs and one of them might be homeschooling their kid during COVID. How in the world are they going to take time away from their families and their basic necessities, such as a shelter and water and lights,
and participate in your nice little, focus group?
Yeah. No,
it's not going to happen.
You got to pay the people.
But if you wonder why your initiatives and your strategies aren't working, it's because the people designing them do not have that insider's look at what really works well. If you want to know what really works well for people who are houseless, you might need to ask them.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that means not just providers of services, but the people to whom the services are provided to. Ask what's needed.
Exactly. And let's not hand pick. I mean, I know the theory is, oh, well, if this is the council member for this district, then they probably know this district the most, and whatever, the thinking or the logic behind it. It's problematic when you hand pick people, because we know maybe they're going to have the same viewpoint as you. Right.
Well, and I'm in District 3, where I do not share the same viewpoint as my county council representatives. I'm just going to go on record. But I still live here.
Yeah.
And I own a home here. And so my voice, if you're really representing this district, you need to represent my point of view as well. But I would say, now that we have Zoom,
yes,
people, you need to learn, figure out how to get your 12-year-old to show you how to get online onto Zoom to the council meeting.
Give the people some credit, Carol. I think people know how to work Zoom now. I mean,
12-year-old to show you.
We've been doing things virtual for how many months? It's almost been 6 now. Like it's a long time. We're almost at December.
Still folks who talk with the mute button on.
This is true. And this is why you talk to your people and I'm talking to my people.
My generation. Right?
Don't give up the fight. Carol's generation. There's hope. You will learn where the mute button is. And it's just only time, with practice comes less, mistakes.
So what we want what do we want the county council to do about these recommendations and the observations and the 400-page report? What do we want them to do? What do the millennials want from that process?
The millennials want to be included in the conversation, paid positions, a stipend or something, right? Millennials want protection. So I would say we want the body cams and we want the dash cams. We have our cell phones, but this is a problem. If you're, let's say you're on a stoplight or whatever, you're getting pulled over for a traffic violation or whatever it is, any sort of recording on your phone is going to trigger that officer. So that's why we need for the county, we need for the police officers to already have those recording mechanisms so that we don't have to further threaten, our cell phones are not guns. Okay. So yes, we need the body cams. We need the dash cams. We would love to see some mental health funding. Come on now.
Behavioral health tax.
Exactly, the behavioral health tax. Pierce County, we cannot go another year without passing that tax. If we do, you're literally saying you've been wasting taxpayers' money. Really is what you've been doing, because why even have all of these meetings to hear our opinions? If you're
been saying the same thing for years.
I mean,
and you know what? Probably more now, but at least 75% of the county's budget is going into these justice functions. Did you know that?
75?
Yes, like 75%. It's going.
How many millions of dollars is that?
The prosecutor, the sheriff, the Department of Sign Council, the courts, and all the judges.
We gotta,
right. That group, the justice functions, take up more than 3/4 of the county's budget. And so one of the things the review committee said is you got to look at that and think about redistributing some of that money that you are investing on the back end, right, upstream, after the person's already in the system. Maybe make some investments at the front end, upstream, instead of making them downstream. Make the investments upstream in prevention, in treatment,
cut risk,
diversion.
Absolutely.
Lower the number of people cycling through that system, and you will spend less on the system overall.
Absolutely. And then I would say lastly, stop targeting us Black people. We know that we are disproportionately arrested, but it's not because we're disproportionately doing more of the crime, okay? Black people only make 3% of this state, but we're over 17% incarcerated. It doesn't make any sense. The numbers just don't add up. We have to figure out a way to apply equity to even who's being arrested.
Well, and I don't know if you saw, even the American Medical Association has finally come out and said, hey, racism is a public health threat, and all forms of racism contribute to the overall ill health of people who are on the receiving end of it. And so if you're wondering why there are health disparities, the institutionalized systems that Ace of Spades, right?
Yep.
Under the ground,
yep.
Upon which all of these other systems are built. Those systems need to we got to do a deep dive. I think that's what the committee has said. Do a deep dive, give people sufficient time, get the right people in the room to be part of that conversation, and allow them to co-design the solutions along with elected officials. I think that's all I got to say.
That's all we got to say, because we could talk about this forever, but those are our main points.
Before you finish now, do you want to talk a little bit about your fundraiser?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So it's the holiday time. It's the time to give. And we're not just hoping that every one of our supporters gives as a movement maker, but we're also giving back to our community. Now, one thing you guys might notice with the Black Robe podcast, I'm sure you love our little countdown intro, but it would be
her idea.
Well, it's something for now. But what we would really love to have is professional intro, outro, a little jingle.
A jingle.
We want a jingle. The IBJ wants a jingle.
IBJ jingle. We want one.
Yes, so we're calling out all musicians in Pierce County, King County, Washington
18
State.
to 35.
Absolutely, for nothing more than 2 minutes. Jingle highlighting the Black Robe podcast. Okay, we are a very fun, uplifting. We are Black voices, so soulful music or anything that resembles Black excellence.
The Collins.
Okay,
Know who that
but
is.
you know, no, I know now.
A little Blue Magic, a little Delphonics.
That's probably what's gonna get you to win. So we're gonna have information posted on Facebook and our other social media sites regarding the requirements of our jingle challenge.
We're gonna have a jingle challenge.
Yes, we are, and we're gonna be announcing our top 3 contenders on our fundraiser that's gonna be taking place second week of December. More details are going to come out about that, but it will
get started working on a jingle.
Yes.
For a show.
And every time I think of the Chappelle show intro, it's the Chappelle show. It's the Chappelle show. Okay, you can do a little better than that, but
now the lawyer in me says don't be messing around with people's copyrighted music. Okay?
Absolutely.
Nothing that's already trademarked. This needs to be an original composition of yours, and you need to be at least 18 years old so that you can give all the rights to the IBJ, right? And what we will give you is
cash.
A cash.
Cash, money.
Hey, that's OJs. You can put some OJs up in there. I would love that.
Yes.
Now, this is what's going to be difficult. You somehow have to satisfy Miss Millennial here and Miss Baby Boom. Both of us have to like the jingle, okay? The winning jingle.
Well, I like a little old school.
And what we'll do is we will play it every single time we open and close the Black Robe podcast. We will be playing it and we will credit the person who wrote the music, and it's going to be fun.
It's going to be so much fun. And this is the first time that we might be, publicly engaged in the community on the Black Robe podcast, but this is not going to be the last time that we have the community featured in some way, shape, or form. Okay, we're always looking for editors. We're looking for merch partners. So just stay tuned. Keep a close ear to the Black Robe. Merchandise.
Merchandise.
Okay. Oh, look who didn't know.
I did not know. Hey, I got Bootsy, you got merch.
There we go, guys. Well,
we gotta go.
Yep, that concludes our podcast for today. But I love this conversation. This was great.
Yes, we're looking forward to seeing you next time. And in the next week or two, we hope to have some guests on.
Absolutely. James Bible. He's coming to the Black Robe podcast. Tell us all about that Manny Ellis 1300 initiative. And you guys, stay healthy during this Thanksgiving weekend holiday. We still want to don't eat too much and still keep the indoor gatherings low. Okay. We know how Black people like to get down. So just try to stay safe.
Stay well, stay safe. We'll see you next time on the Black Robe podcast. That is Anzhane Slaughter.
And that's Carol Mitchell.
All right, we'll see you next time.